welcome back. It's Eagle Countdown. Sorry, we got our we're getting Roger Stone on Skype. There's a lot of technology today, so welcome back. And also, we're being inundated, I hope, by lots of you all on Eagle Countdown. General Flynn just tweeted the news that we're going to honor the great Sidney Powell, and so we're getting lots of attention. Of course, Eagle Countdown is available on YouTube, as well as Facebook Live, on Twitter. And if you want to send us questions, any of those places, within any of those platforms, send us questions. They'll get put into our system, and we answer those questions on here. And so let me make sure I mentioned earlier, EagleCountdown.com. Go right in the center. It says Be an Eagle. We invite people who want to be Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. I was up in Philadelphia 10 days ago with one of our Pennsylvania leaders, Stan Casacio, who is right outside of Philly. Must have had 100 people show up on 48 hours notice to talk to General Mike Flynn's brother, Joe Flynn, someone from the Trump campaign, concerned about the direction of Philadelphia. First of all, let me welcome Stan Casacio. Just came in from Philly by the train here. And Stan, before we get to, I want to not forget to ask you, Trump had all these promises he made when he ran, right? And I wrote a whole book about promises kept. 100 promises kept, judges, regulatory. What's your favorite promise kept by Donald Trump?
I think the favorite promise kept was eliminating all these regulations, which are just killing business. And people don't realize these non-elected people who put these regulations in and they get passed are really like nothing more than a tax increase, and because they restrict you from doing business in a realistic way. So all those regulations that he has done is probably one of the biggest factors to me that has improved the economy, by leaps and bounds.
Stan is a businessman too up in Philadelphia. He leads our Phyllis Schlafly Eagles up there, and so that's one of you would know that part of it. What's happening in Pennsylvania in terms of appreciation for Trump? Also, is Philly, how bad is the cheating going to be? What's your sense?
Well, let me put it this way. I tell this story, and I think I told you this story about the old guy in Philadelphia who went to vote.
Yeah.
And he was talking to the judge of election, and he said, did my wife vote yet? And the guy said, hold on a minute, let me go check. And he says, what's her name? And so he goes back and checks and comes back to him a couple minutes later. Yeah, she voted earlier. I said, doggone, I missed her again, but she's been dead for 6 years. I wanted to see her one more time. But that's Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Look, the Democrats wrote the book on cheating in elections. From Tammany Hall in New York in the 1790s when elections started happening to Mayor Richard Daley, our famous Richard Daley,
right,
who basically said in the Kennedy-Nixon election, if you remember, Illinois was out really late, and he basically said, how many votes did you need? And all of a sudden they showed up in Illinois.
Right.
So the Democrats do a very good job. They love to blame you for everything that they're actually doing.
Stan Casacio is one of our Pennsylvania leaders of our Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. All across the country, we have folks that are interested, that are active at the local level. And if you want to be involved, I mentioned you can go to EagleCountdown.com. Right in the center is a button, Be an Eagle. The connection of folks, we've got folks at every level working in state houses and municipalities, working on school boards. We got a report last week from one of our Eagle leaders out in Oregon working in a school board on the issues that are happening there. So lots to do. Stan, what about Pennsylvania? There's a lot of talk about the Democrats in Pennsylvania being open to Trump in 2016. And, are you seeing a shift?
If you remember at the gathering that we had over 175 people there in less than a 24-hour notice.
Yeah, amazing.
But they came from all over Pennsylvania. They came up from Scranton all over down, so pretty much up and down the East Coast. We had those couple of union guys there.
Yes, that's right. The union
guys said, "Hey, we don't care what the bosses tell us. We're voting for Trump,
right? Because
he's been able to create the jobs for us." And then the one guy says, "By the way, I think our bosses are voting for Trump too, but they just don't want to tell us."
All right, hey guys, I think we got it figured out. Do we have it figured out, guys? So Stan, I just got an email while we're talking, multitasking, about from Pennsylvania. Trump supporters want to get involved. My point here is the whole world seems to be revolving around Pennsylvania, right? What do Pennsylvanians think about a Supreme Court vacancy? Fill the seat?
Fill the seat. That's one of the things that attracted people in Pennsylvania. We've got a lot of hardworking people there, and they're all fighters. My father came over from Italy, and so they like a fighter. That's what they always liked about Trump. I mean, besides promises kept, promises made, he doesn't take any, you know what,
Yeah.
in the background. But, talking to Roger there,
Yep.
one of the things that we're fighting about is this two-tier system of justice. That there's one for the Democrats, which basically no one seems to ever get in any trouble no matter what they do. And then there's one for everybody else.
Right.
And guys like Roger, I can't believe what they did to that man. I really can't.
Well, and I think what you saw is what was the Atlantic. They said we'll as soon as we get in, we'll do it again. We'll go again. I mean, I think somehow the system broke down in terms of their willingness to not even hide their real intention.
Well, this is no longer the party of Jack Kennedy.
Yeah.
Or even Scoop Jackson or Hubert Humphrey.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some integrity there. This party is run by a bunch of leftist Democrats, and we don't have to really. It's not hard to predict the future if these people got in, because we've seen these type of governments before that have taken over.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end well for the people at all.
Yeah. It is so. Pennsylvania, though, has gone back and forth, right? It went for Trump, but then it got a pretty bad sweep.
Here's the key thing for everybody to look at on election night is how many votes come out of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And it depends on how many ballots they stuff. But if you remember, I think Hillary came out with she got about 500,000 votes, which as soon as that came out, I knew Trump had won Pennsylvania. Because between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, you're talking about Trump territory. You drive in some of these small communities, you see a sea of flags up there. It's like Trump going. So what's going to happen is you have to keep an eye on Philadelphia. Philadelphia controls the whole thing. And that's why these mail-in ballots are going to be a crazy thing. And we're looking for a lot of volunteers to keep an eye on these ballots. Now, it's my hope that the Pennsylvania legislature, which is still controlled by the Republicans, does something about it, gets their back up and says, hold on, Supreme Court, you're not telling us how to vote. As a matter of fact, I'm still upset that they did the redistricting, and they should have impeached those judges because that's against the Pennsylvania Constitution. It's crazy what's going on.
Well, I mean, that's the one thing. Yesterday on the first of our Eagle Countdown, we had David Horowitz on and other speakers, and one thing people were saying is, taking the fight. The president would teach people. This president teach people to take the fight to them and take the steps, whether it's filling a nomination for the Supreme Court or telling the truth about people. I guess that's the question where you wonder. The economy in Pennsylvania. How's the economy?
The economy has been great in Pennsylvania, mainly because of the deregulation of stuff and the fracking and other things. The economy's been really, really great. But here's something else I want to bring everybody's attention to. And you've got to meet some of these candidates. This year in the Philadelphia, Berks County, Montgomery County, Chester County,
collars around Philly.
I must tell you, we have some of the greatest candidates I've ever seen in all my years. And I've been standing on polls. I had a hard hat for Nixon back in '68. Wow. But these are the best group of candidates. And you've got to meet Kathy Barnett.
Kathy Barnett, she's amazing.
Who is, by the way, a Fox News contributor.
Yep.
She's written a book, which basically nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Yep.
And a great common sense conservative who homeschools, who has a great story. She was born on a pig farm in Alabama. Didn't even know anything about prejudice or racism.
Right. Army, right? She went in the Army?
She was in the Army 10 years, did that. She's in finance, everything else. But the interesting thing about her is her mother was raped when she was 12 years old. And I've got to meet her mother. What a wonderful person. Her mother was raped when she was 12, and they wanted her to have an abortion. And she chose not to have that abortion. And Kathy is the product of that abortion.
Yeah.
So Kathy, for very selfish reasons, is
pro-life.
Is pro-life.
That's great.
For all the reasons. But Pennsylvania, I think we have a great chance to win it. What I'm concerned about is what happens in Philadelphia. The corruption in Philadelphia is unbelievable what goes on there. Mm-hmm. And that old guy, that story I told you about the old guy, that happens all the time. In fact, I think in the last election, they actually had more votes were cast in this one district than they actually had voters registered and actually people living there. Okay. So you know what's going on.
Yeah. Are we ready to go to is Shelby? Well, Shelby Boswell was going to introduce him. Is she there?